Welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. These light warriors, both native New Yorkers, walk their walk, talk their talk, and keep the real in the deal. This dynamic duo joined forces to assist you through your transformational journey one step at a time, empowering you with spiritual tools you can use in your daily life. Each show begins as a conversation creating an opening for spiritual connection. There are never any scripts, and Spirit is always illuminating the way. And that's when the shift hits the fan. The magical messages of the ancestors, spirit guides, and Gaia are respected, honored, and always given sacred space to communicate. Join Marilyn and Elizabeth as they shake shift up and do what they do best, speak from their hearts.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world listening. This is Shooting the Shift with Elizabeth and Miss Marilyn. Yes. Hello, Miss Marilyn.
Good afternoon. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's snowing out.
It's snowing here inside. In Colorado. People don't know. I'm in Colorado. You're in New York, but we can see each other because we look at each other when we do our show.
Yes.
So, welcome. Today is March 9th. Wow. It's already the 9th of March. I mean, we just need to stop saying, wow, time's going so fast, because it's just not going to stop going fast. It's just, this is the new normal, I think. So Miss Marilyn, I wanted to let people know that people can call in today if they would like to interact with us, get some support. Get some insights, get some magical juju that you do or I do. And we love callers. We know a lot of people out there are shy to call, or they think they're going to be weird. But we are like the most open-hearted, welcoming women that you're going to find on radio. I'm going to just say I'm betting my soul on that because I know the truth, right? So there's a lot going on today. And I would like to say the title. Oh, we need the phone number, Marilyn. Do you have the phone number?
So you can call 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057. And we'll get a chance to meet.
Wonderful. Nobody ever talks on the phone anymore. It's so rare now because everybody texts and everybody's so busy.
It's the text thing.
And I miss it. I remember when I was like a teenager in my kitchen in the loft in New York City, we had that long, long cord, and I'd be on the phone with like one of my girlfriends, and I would like literally have twirled myself into a cocoon of phone cord, and then I'd untwirl myself out. My mother would always be like, stop messing with the phone cord. That's getting a short in it, I probably drove her insane. But I remember the old days when I wasn't attached to my phone, is my point. And if somebody was trying to find you, it was like, oh, wow. They're not going to get them until they get home or till your aunt up the street gives them the word or whatever, There's something said about those days. I miss a little bit.
I'm not so attached to my phone,
Yeah.
I never know.
Really?
I never know where my phone is. I rarely, let's say rarely. I know where it is now. But most of the time I'm looking for my phone.
Sure. Yeah, you're a rare bird. And I know that's true because I'll text you sometimes and then I don't hear from you. And then I'll call you and be like, I texted you, and you hear your phone ring, I think. And then
Yes, anyway. I'll hear the phone ring because it's also on the iPad. And so that rings before I can find my phone. It's like,
right,
but it's what I do.
Someone's calling.
Yes. And then I'll call back if I can't run fast enough to it. But I don't like, I don't like having the phone on me all the time because I don't like the feeling of kind of having that instinct of constantly looking at it. So I just don't want to even, I see people doing that all the time and I'm like, oh, that's not good for me. It's not healthy. No. And I know that I can get caught up.
Presence. Yeah.
And I can get caught up in that, and I lose myself and then I lose myself on the apps and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, No more. So
Listen,
just
you're a
let the phone
Libra.
go.
You're so much more balanced than I am. I'm a Gemini rising with an Aquarius moon. I'm like air, air, air. I can get distracted by a bird that flies by my window, and then I'm like in 7 different rooms doing 7 different things. So, yeah, I've got to kind of silence my phone and not look at it because it will pull me away. And you know what? It's interesting because our topic today, we were calling, I got to get this right, Marilyn, because it's a little bit of a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah.
So our topic today is a timeout can be a powerful time in. And what made me think of this was you and I were just having one of our usual powwows and, doing our little banter and conversation and supporting each other. And I was thinking about, how parents put their kids in a timeout. You've been a bad lady, young lady, you need to go get a timeout. That was a big thing in the 80s and the 90s. Or, you need to think about what you've done and get a timeout. Now, it wasn't my generation, but I know a lot of mothers that did that with kids. But I think really, honestly, the truth is we all need a time in, and really a time out was a time in for a kid.
Yes.
Now, some kids sat and pouted and kicked and whined and resisted. But I think, if we could all, I don't know if you've ever seen this on social media or in a news story, little kids that start meditating when they're 5 with really awake parents. And I think, wow, if everybody in the world took 5 minutes a day to just tune in, right?
Yes.
Kids, adults, older people, which I'm nearing and approaching, it would just be a different world.
Yeah.
And so I just think when you see a lot of people go, can we stop sending prayers and our loving thoughts and, what's that doing? I understand if there's a tragedy and something happens, people get upset or they get angry or they want laws changed. I get it. But I am a big, huge proponent of the power of prayer and reconnecting with spirit.
Yes, yes. And it's how you pray too, right? I try not to do too much asking. I try not to do too much asking because I think that when we're asking, it changes a little bit, right? So it's more about, my prayer is about how I want to see the world. So it's not, I don't use the word want, it's how I'm seeing it, right? And how I see the world is, where everybody's, united, where everybody has inner peace so that there can be outer peace, right? That we're balancing each other, that we're honoring each other where we are, that we're loving each other where we are. That's my prayer, that, that energy is able to come through each and every one of us, because it is in each and every one of us. The issue here is that there's so many other emotions that are stuck behind that that when I pray for that enactment of that energy to rise up before the other energies too, right? So that if that has a power and a force, for me, that's my prayer. And everybody's, prays differently, but I try not to say, I want this, I want that. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? It's not a spiritual Santa Claus, like if I'm a good person, I'll get the car I want. For me, like a lot of my prayers are gratitude, just being in gratitude, I find, especially after my health journey, the more I'm in the gratitude, the more powerful I am to create more gratitude and more peace. Yes, for sure.
So our producer is sending us a little note on Skype telling us his opinion of a timeout, so I missed it. Anyway, that was the distraction. You're welcome, Gemini Rising. So the thing is, when I pray personally, I used to have a really hard time with praying, and I think we've discussed this a little bit on another show where, for me, it was like, a finger pointing man in the sky, judgmenting me and pointing at me and, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which all of that I knew was a bunch of crap, even at a very early age. But I was not raised by traditional religious people. So I had a lot of resistance around praying. I had to learn what that meant for me. What does prayer mean for me? And what does that mean? And I think that's why I brought that up with the, when you see people on social media saying enough praying, enough good thoughts, because some of it you feel helpless or you feel, like things aren't changing.
Or
For
maybe
me,
they might look at it as if you're not doing enough because prayer is not enough.
right,
And the truth
exactly.
is
It's
that
not an
that's
action.
an
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
that others have. I have to say I come from a family of prayers, right? I mean, my mother and my grandmother, and I mean, you name it, everybody is a prayer a warrior in my, and so that's how I, learned to do this, to do the praying. I just, I have faith, that things can change with the energy and the frequencies that we put out. And I believe that prayer is a beautiful frequency. And if as a collective, and I really believe that a lot of times, when you are in a collective, like gathering and people are praying, oh Lord, that the power of that is exponential, right? But and also your prayer as well is a powerful prayer. So yeah, and
Well,
I
and
get it. People are
for me,
frustrated.
yeah, also for me, I want to say, you know, I I always have the intention in my heart. And so the intention in my heart to me is a prayer. So
Yes.
I have a prayer ladder, I have a healing ladder where I put people on there that need it, at the particular time for a particular crisis, and I put my energy there. But in my heart, throughout the day, I just have an intention. I close my eyes, I see earth, I see white doves all the way around earth, and then sometimes I see white angels. It depends. Sometimes I call in Archangel Michael, but I do a visual. I'm a visual girl. So I do my time in, right? This is our topic today. I do my
Yes.
little time in. And, you also know I got my kettlebells. I've been working inside and outside. So I do a little 5-minute workout with my kettlebells and I strengthen my arms. And then I stop and I take some good deep breaths and I just do a visual. And I know the intent in my heart. So it's not like I'm saying, dear God, dear universe, dear angels, bring us peace. I see the peace. I
Right.
am the
I
peace. I
see it. Yes, and
co-create the
feel it.
peace. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That to
Yeah.
me is a prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's to me, it's very powerful, and I think that everybody has, they have the right to whatever opinions they may, have, and it's all good, right? And I think about like my daily practices, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly checking in with myself, like how do I
Yeah.
feel,
Do
what
you
do I
have a
need?
ritual, like when you get up? Do you have like a ritual you try and stick to? Because I do. I'm just curious.
Well, I have to say that I used to, but I no
Uh
longer
huh.
do that anymore because
Well,
I
you
don't
probably don't need
want,
it now.
and I'll tell you that the reason for me is that I don't want
A
it to
chore.
become something, what's the word? When it's like automatic. I don't want it to be automatic. I want to really be present. I want to be
Right.
present in what it is that I'm doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
do I do certain things at the same time? No. But do I
Mm-hmm.
do certain
Yes.
things throughout the day? Yes, I do. I
Mm-hmm.
will. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't do it at the same time every day. But yes, I light my candles. I say my
Yeah.
prayers. For the world, and for everything that's going on, and for all
Family,
the people who
people
contact
you
me and all my
love.
loved
Yes.
ones
Your
and all that
clients.
stuff. So I do that, but I also have this checking in with myself, which I
Yeah.
do on a daily, and I do that because I need to be in tune with how I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling and what's
Well,
happening inside,
yeah.
right, as well as
That
outside
that
of
is
me.
my daily practice. Like when the first thing when I get up, I let the dogs out. I make a little cup of something warm, and then I go in my private little room. I light my candles and I connect. That's what I have to do. I have to connect to my soul, and I have to connect to my spirit, and just ground myself on this day and set my intentions, right?
Yes.
If I don't do that, because Little Miss Gemini rising, squirrel, 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 shiny object, it'll be 8 o'clock at night and I'll be too tired. I'll fall asleep while I'm trying to do that. So I know now that I must have a little bit of discipline and put myself in a time in as soon as I get up.
Yeah.
Because my brain is not too busy, right?
Right.
But what I do in that space is different every day. You know, I may do a ritual. I may read a prayer. I may draw a card. Whatever I feel called to.
And you're creating
but as long
a
as I have that
practice.
time. Yes.
Yes, and you're creating a practice which then, right, helps you, right, throughout the day,
Yeah.
right? Because what happens is that if we really want to, live proactively and not reactively, then it's important for us to be tuned in, right? If we're tuned in, then, things don't get so far ahead of us that we can't, reel it back in and make whatever corrections, for ourselves. So I think that's an important thing, right? To think about and to process is that if we can have certain things as a practice, so that we're constantly doing it on a daily, then what happens is, and I did that for many years, and I think that I no longer do that because it's already ingrained in me in a way, right?
Yeah.
Where I know that it's going to get done, right? I'm going to do it because
in waves, I find.
Yes.
Like sometimes
yes.
I get step away, and then sometimes it'll be too long, and I'll be like, oh no, I've traveled a little too far. I need to come back to something that's a little more disciplined for me, right? Because I can see I'm a little more ungrounded, or they're shifting, right? Shifting, name of our show. So
Right,
listen,
and it's
we gotta
important.
go to our first break. We gotta shift into break time.
There you go.
That's always the hardest thing, to keep track of that. So we will.
I'm
be
so
right
glad
back,
you can
guys.
keep track of it.
Give us a call. We will announce the phone number as soon as we come back.
Yes.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Well, welcome back to Shooting the Shift, and I wanted to give this phone number out for everybody, 202-570-7057, 202-570-7057. If you'd like to reach out at any point during our show, we'd love to have you. We talk about OMTimes Radio as a conscious lifestyle, and that's really what Marilyn is my show is about, is being conscious, being mindful, and it's not about perfection in any way. Also, I'd like to say very clearly that having a time in is also a time out, because one of the things that I love to do that is so important for me is also to go stand on the earth 15 minutes a day, every day, rain, snow, whatever. I started that practice about 6 years ago, and I found that Mother Earth was organically removing whatever like Velcro gremlins or stuff that I picked up from other people, other energies, being an empath before I knew how to protect my energy, before I knew how to not take on other people's energy. I'd rather say that than protect, because I don't feel that I need to protect myself per se. I feel like that sets us up for needing protection. But, we are little sponges, and we do take on emotions from other people. And I find putting my feet like suction cups onto the earth every day for 15 minutes really does pull things out of me and feeds me. It creates a space for more of my inner knowing and my stillness to come in. And with all the air in my chart, I definitely need that. And I wanted to say that if you ever miss our show live, you can always go and listen to the replays or the archives on OMTimes Radio. And you can also join us at iHeartRadio. We are now being picked up by iHeartRadio, is replaying our podcast. So we're really excited about that. There's 2 different ways for you to re-listen to any show you may have missed, or if you wanted to go back and listen to some of we haven't been doing this very long, Marilyn, and I've only been doing this for 5 months. So a timeout can be a time in can be a timeout. I was talking, Marilyn, about being in the earth and grounding, right. And that is one big thing for me. And again, I do find that sometimes it'll be like January, super cold, 2 weeks of below 8, and I go, oh, I don't really need it. And I don't want to, a little kid in me. And, sure enough, in 2 weeks, I regret it, because I can feel like all the stuff attached to me. Yeah. We all have different ways.
Yes.
But for me, the clarity.
I do the grounding as well. Yeah, and I do the grounding as well, because I believe that that's a way, right, to move, anything that isn't serving you, right? You can feed it. And this is just the work, right, that I've learned is that you feed it to the mother, right, to the earth. You feed her because she can deal with that dense energy and is able to, change it, right, and transmute it into something more beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's part of my process and my rituals as well, right? Because grounding is really important. And it also, it gives us a sense of oneness, right, with the earth. And, we are so connected.
We are earthlings.
Yes.
We are, at least in this lifetime, we are earthlings.
Yeah, so we need to be able to make that connection. It's important to the rhythm, for our rhythm and the earth's rhythm, right? When we're out of sync or out of balance, or at least let me say when I am out of sync or out of balance, right, then it's easy for me to recognize that I'm out of balance. Oh, something doesn't feel right, right? And then I'm working on, so I usually will say, okay, so I'm a little off, right? And I know that because I feel discomfort in my energy, right? In my energy, I just feel a little discomfort. And in feeling that, it's like there's a dis-ease in my body in the moment, and I'm feeling it, right? And so because I become aware of it, right, I am also paying attention to the internal dialogue that I may be having, right? And then how I can self-correct that, right, in that moment.
In that moment. And also, like, for me, there's so many messages from the birds, from the wind, from the twig that snaps in the corner of my yard. And for people out there that go, well, I tried that. I stood on the earth once for 10 minutes and nothing happened, It's like, well, It is a process.
It's a
And I will say,
practice.
for me, yes, it is
Yes.
a process and a practice. For me, it takes me about 3 solid weeks of doing that every day for me to start feeling a shift in what I call the itty bitty shitty committee in my head, the ego that gets too loud, the tinker tank, bang the drums, TTT, distractions. That quiets it down a little. I sleep a little easier. I remember things a little. It's very subtle. But if I do it every day, it's consistent.
Yes.
And I can feel a shift. And so, I would just say, if you've done that before or tried it before and you did it once or twice and said, it didn't work, give yourself a month, give yourself some
Try
time.
it daily. Try it
Yeah.
daily, because what happens is that it's the same story, right? And here we go with the story, right? Because the story is, oh, I've done that and it didn't do anything for me. Or I've been
Right.
doing this and it hasn't helped me in anything. Well, let's think about the language, right? The language is, it's not helping me. It hasn't helped me. There's, it's not going to help me. And the truth is that is the truth. And it will not help
That's
you
right.
if
That's right.
that's the energy that you're holding it in. And I always say that when we want changes to happen, how do we expect them to happen if we don't really believe that it's possible? We have to understand that it is possible and that it's already happening. Like, my spin on things is, it's already happening. Not so, it is possible and it's already happening, because if I hold it in that,
happen?
if I'm holding it in that energy and in that frequency, how could it not happen? Right? Because there's so much. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. You're just making me excited.
Yeah.
I didn't have it. No, but you did make me think. If you think you will or you think you won't, you're right. Either way. Belief and intention is everything. You can go out there and say, this didn't work for me before, but I hope so much it does. And I'm open to believing in the magic. I'm open to believing that I can ground. I'm open to giving it another shot. I heard those 2 crazy ladies talking on OMTimes. I'll give it 30 days. Why not? They seem like they know what they're talking about. Sort of, kind of.
It works. It works, though.
And it works because you're now opening up instead of going, well, it's never going to work. But
and I can say from my experience that I have seen so many changes.
Yes.
Like, and no, not instantly. No, not instantly. But
And
I can
subtly.
tell you, that it's almost like, I turned around and I said, oh my goodness, when did that change? When did that shift? Wow, I'm no longer, having that other experience. So something happened, right? And it was because I was putting out the frequency, the vibration of, having this experience already in the now, in my present moment. And so then it became my future present moment, right? So that's important, because sometimes what happens is we're holding
can of worms.
Yeah, I know that, but this is what happens with us, right?
I know. I'm like ready to rock and roll. Go.
So what happens is that, a lot of times we are holding the past in the present, and we then take the past to the future. So we need to remember that is not what we want. We can say, I've experienced all of that. Yes, I honor my life and my process in it. And now I am co-creating a new experience. And because this is part of a practice. And this is something that if we do it on a daily, I will tell everyone that's listening that things will shift in your life. Now, it will not shift, and I guarantee you this, it will not shift if you hold on to I've done that and it hasn't worked. And no matter how many times I do it, it just doesn't happen that way. Well, my family members have always had this, and this is where I'm, and I'm heading there and whatever. Well, this is exactly what you are co-creating for the future and in your present. So you're feeding it and you're giving it so much energy. So the practice is co-create something that you want. Joy. Bring the joy in.
I have to say, I did a whole, I as you know, I'm a creative artist and a spirit artist, and I did a whole thing called my cosmic strip, and I did a whole thing on present and presence, right? So present thoughts, right? Who you become, right? So present thoughts. So you pre-send your thoughts like in a little envelope. You're pre-sending to your future your present thoughts. So it's addressed to your present you in the past to the future. And then the surprise arrives, right? And what is it? You received what you believed. So you cannot create your present, your future without your present. You are creating right now, 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now, right now. So all your power is right now in the presence. So your presence becomes the present to your present future self. So
isn't that beautiful?
Love that so much. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I think it's important, right? Because if we can remember, right, that it is what it is that we are thinking and feeling that becomes co-created on the planet Earth and in our lives. Right? Yes, because we're feeding that energy. So if we can remember, right, like I remember the original power, right? The power to create works in 3 ways. In your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions. You remember that? It's the power to create. It works in 3 ways. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Right?
Okay, so, I would add 1, but I'm a 4 girl. I got to add the heart, your feelings. Sorry.
Okay, I'm a 3 girl and you're a 4 girl.
That's fine. We don't have to agree to love each other.
No. And it's all good.
Love each other no matter what.
And love is always a component in everything we do.
That's right. You be a 3,
or at least it should be, right?
You're the odd one.
Right, I know.
Go ahead.
And I love it. I love being different.
Me too. Go ahead.
So right, it's remembering that every thought that we have, right, is creative. Yeah. It's creative. Yeah. And every word that we speak is creative. And every action that we take is creative. So again, if we are living from the past stuff and carrying it with us into the present moment and then continuously carrying it into the future, then that's what we will have. And that is what we will continue to co-create. Now, the question is, do you like where you are? Do you want to shift? Do you want changes?
Does that feel good?
Yes.
Or do you need to shake some shift up, right?
Right? And it's so important to be able to navigate that, right? And how do we navigate it? Through the feeling, right? How
there you go.
How does it make me feel? Right? How does it make me feel? Does it make me feel a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And if it feels good, keep it. If it doesn't, dump it.
How
just
many
discard
people
it.
hang on to the crap thinking like, if I suffer, if I hold on to this, if I just, feel lousy, it'll finally break free. No. This is a
it'll
lie.
just hold on.
You've been told.
Right, because what'll happen is it'll hold on to you and you to it. And then to breaking free is really difficult. So it's important to be able to say to yourself, right? And in the evening, right, at night, I like to, to find what it was that I was grateful for in the day. Because during the day, I'm looking for those things that bring me joy, that just had a good spin for me in the day, right? Because in the evening, I like to
forget them.
Yes,
and we forget. Do it at night before you go to sleep. I like that. Yeah.
And so during the day, though, I'm busy looking for it. So then I have something to say in the evening hours when I'm grateful for, right? So during the day, I'm really focused on looking for the things that I'm grateful for in my life, in my day, right? Yep. And so, when you think about it that way, now look at what we're doing. Like what I'm doing there is I am creating a pattern a new
Right.
pattern of thinking and of focus. So my focus is not on, listen, a lot of stuff happens during the day that may not be the greatest, right? But if I'm not
Yes.
focusing so much on that, but I'm focusing on all the good things that came from it, or that that I was able to enjoy, then that's beautiful, right? Because a lot of times we'll say things like, well, this has just been a lousy month. I just don't. I mean, it's been horrible, horrible. It really hasn't. Can you look back? I
Right.
journal, so I love to journal. And I
Yeah, so
really
you
tell
can
people,
puddle jump.
journal. It's,
Yep,
I love
I
it.
agree.
Okay. Because, the other thing is that I noticed that I've learned a lot from my journals is my growth and my expansion.
Yes.
And I would tell you that if I didn't have my journals, I would not really fully understand the expansion that I have had in my life, right? Because
I know,
I would
that's
be
why
just
I know.
remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't ever, people say, purge, get rid of everything, get rid of your old journals. You don't need that old energy. I totally disagree with that, because I agree with you that sometimes you need those milestones and you don't remember, you don't retain that information. You go back and you look at something 3 years ago and you go, oh my gosh, a light bulb moment, right? And it serves your
Yes.
growth now in the present.
And
from
you
the
can
past.
use
It's like
that.
a gift.
Yes. Yes. And I use that. I use the
Oh,
teaching. I use the
yep.
teaching that I may have
Yep.
forgotten in the moment that I'm having now.
Exactly.
And it brings me back to the understanding that, oh my goodness, do you see the things that I was thinking and the things that I was, and look
Yes.
at where you are now. And do you
Yes.
see how this is, maybe it feels really harsh and hard,
Yeah.
but what are we learning from this? Come on, So
Oh,
these are
and
the
the
kinds of
compassion you
experiences.
feel for yourself.
Yes.
I mean, that's what really surprised me. As I look back maybe 10 years ago, 50, even 50, I had my journals since I was like 12, okay? So I can tell you, I
Me
look
too.
back and I go, oh my God, look at that poor girl. All she wanted was a little crumb, She just didn't know how to find it, and then she did,
She
of
didn't know how
course.
to ask for it either.
We got to go to another
Yeah.
break, darling.
Here we
Okay.
go.
You guys, this is our last break. We're coming back for the last segment. And I've got stuff to say about scarcity and rations you made me think about with gratitude. So
There you go.
Stay tuned.
We'll be back.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With everything going on, there may be times you feel like you can't handle it all. Journaling, meditating, and talking with friends and family can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope. Your kids are also going through a lot of new experiences, and simply talking with them about their feelings can be quite powerful.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Well. Welcome back to Shooting the Shift. And so you got me thinking too. It's so, like, I try not to interrupt you. That's kind of what we do. It's part of what
Yes,
we do
it's
because we
good.
just get so passionate.
It's
so
good.
when you were talking about, the gratitude of going to bed, when I was a little girl, I used to be fascinated by some of the the Rosie the Riveter and the camaraderie and the patriotism of our country and really needing to come together. And what I wanted to say about that is that, in a million years, I never thought we would have rations. We wouldn't be able to get pantyhose or cheese or whatever it is. And yes, there's a lot of scarcity going on right now. There's a lot of adaptation. There's a lot of shifting going on with our food supply, with not being we're being so much more blessed than other parts of the world. And I think that this exponentially raises our gratitude when you focus on, oh, wow, they don't have my favorite coffee, but they have the things I need for my animals. It shows you what's important. And for me, a lot of people could go into fear thinking and scarcity, but it puts me in the gratitude of, I have what I need. I'm so spoiled. And maybe I'm not so spoiled right now, but I can see how spoiled I am. And even for that, I am so grateful, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to say that it's important. I know we have a phone call. We have a caller here named Ellen, I think, from New York. Is that right? Do I have that right, Marilyn?
I think it says Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen. I see. I should never be allowed to introduce anybody because I get the names wrong no matter what. Is this Mary Ellen?
Yes. Actually,
hello, Mary Ellen.
Hello. It's interesting that you said that, actually, because I was going through changes, this is later in my life, and I actually never liked the Mary portion of my name, and I like Ellen better. So, but I never called myself Ellen. So isn't that interesting?
Well, I am intuitive, so maybe my flub was actually my insight. Thank you for the validation, Mary Ellen. Do you want to go by Mary Ellen or Ellen?
Well, let's go by Ellen for the moment.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. We're already shifting things here, Ellen. So what's on your mind? Thank you for reaching out to me and Miss Marilyn today.
So what you were talking about shifting to gratitude and creating the space every day and journaling, and I had to call in because I'm actually in the process of in the interest of space, releasing old journals. And
I see.
And because they're so, I used to journal so much, like both of you. I have so many, and I just can't keep them anymore. But I had a different reaction in reading those. I didn't feel, I have a long practice of doing everything that you both are talking about, connecting to space and gratitude. But what I felt when I read back on the journals, it sort of made me feel down and depressed because I felt like, wow, I was struggling so much, and I was asking the same questions that I didn't shift. So we're not always able to shift into joy every minute, but in a lot of areas in my life, things did not change, even though I thought I believed them. So my question would be, with all the practices that you do and that we do, and I'm down with both of you, so I even say, let me shift the beliefs or whatever is blocking me. I don't have to know what it is. Whatever is blocking me, I've been to therapy. Let me shift it and manifest these things in my life. So I looked back and saw that I didn't manifest things many years ago, and I still didn't manifest the same things now. So now my spirit, even if I say I'm grateful, my mood shifts to down. When is that going to happen? And so I'm not as excited. I can't connect to the joy as easily as you were speaking about.
Well, that's okay. That's how you feel. And that's important because we all have to start where we are. So it's not about being in denial or being joyful and keeping all your journals. If you feel like they're not serving you and it's time for you to purge, then absolutely. You can even have a ceremony or a little mini bonfire, very carefully, depending on where you live. But absolutely, I think that's a very good point. And we We need a voice like yours, Ellen, to speak for those people that said, I want to purge that stuff. I want to get rid of it. But also, I think there's something coming up here with timing for you about sometimes we want certain things and they don't manifest because it's not for our highest good. And so we kind of go in battle of feeling like we were robbed of something that we should have gotten at a certain time. I know I've done that many times. And then in hindsight, you can see that was part of your growth, whether you want to purge it, chuck it, or keep it for a memory, you know? Does that make sense? Ellen,
Yes,
what's your
that does.
birthday? Just the day and the month.
November 15th.
Okay, and did you have a particular question that you wanted us to look at, or did you just want to ponder on that point?
Well, I mean, I can pick an area of my life to ask you what you feel, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's go with, there, I could pick any. So let's go with romance. Let's try that one.
Okay, so the first thing that I get for you big time is that there's a lot of changes around you right now. And I see something around 3-3. So you may have felt like things were going to change in the beginning of the year, but it's actually was kind of a false kind of start. The movement and variety here moving in, I feel like is happening right around 6 days ago. And I feel like a momentum moving forward with you. Are you single? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like there is two opportunities coming in for you. And I also feel that you have to be open to a lot of variety this year and kind of stretch yourself and put yourself out there in a new way. And God knows, aren't we all looking forward to getting out there in a different way after the last 2 years that we've had? But what I'm hearing very strongly is you are being stretched into something unusual. And the person that you may be looking for that's looking for you is very different than anybody you've ever known, because you're very different than you've ever been. So there's some variety coming up here and some changes. Now, I can't tell you, you know, Thomas is going to show up and he drives a red car, because I don't see like that. But I do see soul contracts coming in here. Marilyn, did you want to chime in, darling?
Oh,
No,
I'm good. I'm
she's
listening.
silent.
I'm listening to this.
Yeah.
It's actually,
So
yeah. Go ahead.
I feel that there's some healing that you've done around somebody that was toxic in your past, and I feel like you're really moving forward from that in a new way now. And the more you can keep your heart open, and the more you can look at, just like we were talking about, believing in, okay, that was my old story, this is my new story, I have a new heart, new eyes, it's still my same soul, but I have wisdom. And because you want the whole enchilada, you want the whole companion person. And the belief around that is what you have to open up to, right? That it's not going to be the same. Just like we were talking about your journals. That's what I feel very strongly, is that the past is the past, and you sealed it with the safe, and now you're kind of getting into this new territory. And the universe has opportunities to bring you this year. Now it's up to you to recognize them and open up to them as they arrive. And I do feel like one of them is kind of like at the airport, but their luggage is a little delayed, or their flight's a little delayed. So I don't feel like there's somebody too far off, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, the universe will present opportunities to us. It's up to us to see them. And there's something about this person being unusual, or not like what would fit in your idealism of what you think you're looking for. So be open to the weird, the quirky, and the unknown. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Oh, I
How
love
does
I
that.
like
sound?
that. The weird, the quirky, and the unknown.
Yes.
Really well said.
You know,
Yeah.
I always say we're all freaks in flesh suits. You know, we're all weirdos. And we're also afraid that everybody thinks we're weirdos, right? Like, I don't want anyone to know I'm a weirdo. I don't want anybody to know this about me. And everybody's so busy hiding all their stuff. You know, forget online dating and Match.com. That's like a petri dish of, not, in my opinion, not very high vibrational stuff. I feel like getting in a community of like-minded souls and doing what you love and following your passion and being out there is what's going to magnetize these people to you.
Yeah, and I'm going to chime in there with the journals, because I was really, really listening and feeling when you're reading the journals, right? The other thing is, when we read them, the energy that we're reading them with matters as well, right? And the other thing is that I don't believe that you have to keep your journals. I believe that there are, there's some of my journals where I discarded, right? Because it was just too many. And I just decided the ones that held, and I say the medicine, right? Like the teachings, the ones that held the, oh, wow, this was an experience. And then this was the teaching of it. Those are the ones that I saved, right? Those are the ones that I hold on to, because those are the ones that help me to continue to move forward. And do I go through my journals? I don't. I go through them when I'm wanting to write certain things that I know, probably because I wrote it, right? It changed my life, and I'm thinking of like writing it, like for others to read. So that's what I'm using my journals for. But it's like spirit writing, and this is what changed and this is what shifted. So with you, right, it would be, wow, I'm reading this and it's taking me to a very uncomfortable feeling where I don't really want to live in, right? Because it's too... it's just bringing up too much stuff, right? But the other thing is, when you read them, as you were reading them, the stuff that was that you allowed yourself to purge, hopefully, right? And you were able to cry it out, scream it out, just go through the process of, trying to get the medicine out of it, right? The other thing is that there are certain things that we may be wanting, like Elizabeth said, we may be wanting them, right? But Spirit says that's just not for you. It's not that I don't want to give it to you. It's just that it's not your vibrational match. And therefore,
I have a lot of that
won't,
too in my
I
past.
won't give that to you, right? Because sometimes, thankful for unanswered prayers, right? Because sometimes we get locked into something that it was, again, it may have been seasonal or temporary, and we wanted to make it a lifetime thing, and then it doesn't turn out right because it was never for a lifetime. So these are things that it's important to remember, that the energy that's swirling, just understand how it is that you're feeling. How does this feel? How does this feel? Oh, you know what? I have all of this baggage. Well, I don't want to carry this baggage anymore. I want to dump it. I want to, like Elizabeth said, do a ceremony around it, do a fire, put it in a fire pit and just,
burn
and then allow it to be transmuted, right? And the language would be to transmute this, right, into loving energy, right, where it creates a change, in the universe, right, for unity and peace and all that good stuff, right? Because we can have that energy that maybe is painful, and when we see it burning up, it's almost like the ritual has taken place within us as well. So it's almost like all of that is now no longer, right? It is no longer a part of us. So that's a beautiful process. And then, right, and then you're disengaged from that, right? You're disconnected from that you're deactivated from that energy. And now you are, working on the energy of the now moment, the present, where do I want to go? Like, let's work on that. Let's work on what is it that I see for myself, right? Like, ask yourself those questions. What is it that I see for myself that I know is possible, right? And now remember, when I say no, I say everything is possible, right? Anything is possible. So create the story you want, and then feed it every day, right? Every day you feed that story. Every day you feel that story as if it's happening in this moment and in this time. And before you know it, you're going to blink. right? And you're going to say, oh my goodness, how did I get here? How did I get to this place? Well, you got there because you were in that belief system for a while, where you were raising the vibration and the frequency of what it is that you were wanting, and you were riding that frequency and you were riding that vibration, and there you are, right? Yeah.
So listen, I'm so sorry, Ellen, but I gotta say, we gotta wrap up the show. We are so grateful you called.
Yes.
Thank you so much, both.
You have
Thank
a
you so
big
much.
year of change here. You've got a big year of opportunities. So you've got some great co-creating to do. This is a new story for you.
Trust your
it's
process.
good you got rid of that stuff.
Right?
Yes.
And trust your process. Right? Trust your process. If it holds a charge of negativity, drop it. Let it go. Burn it up.
And she
Just
did.
toss it.
She got rid of them. She chucked them.
There you go.
All right.
That's right.
Okay.
Call us again, Ellen. Call us again. We'd love to hear from you again. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Peace
you.
and blessings.
Okay.
So we literally have 1 minute. We had one caller, and it was Miss Ellen, who was supposed to be here and show up. So I'm so thrilled that she did. That's our show.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it.
All right, you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Right? This is beautiful.
We feel so
Blessings, love,
blessed
and
to
light.
be here on OMTimes. Bye.
Bye.